Good morning to you. It must be 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time because it's time for another Hardison'S tip. I'm your host, Brandon Hardison. Glad to be with you on this beautiful Monday, the 11th day of January 2021. We do these tips for all of our brothers and sisters that are in the sales verticals, whether it's major account, key account, up and down the street, in home sales, retail, or automotive sales. So you're going to have to be getting ready to get going. I want to speak to our brothers and sisters that are in the business office equipment. Let's look at what you are still dealing with from last year with the COVID going into this year. So we just wanted to do a recap because last year was an unforgettable year. But it's important to reflect on how the industry handled 2020. So, throughout all of the monthly polls and the special forums, we as an industry invited a whole lot of professionals to weigh in with some of their best and worsts of COVID to disrupt them and keep them from reaching their goals last year. Because this year, 2021, we want to make sure that we hit our marks. But it's up to you to take little tidbits to make the improvement. So, the theme that I wanted to look at was all of the emails that came back and some of the antidotes that people had said that they were going to get away from, the challenges they had, and how they're going to look at the future. So we know that last year, being all the disruption, you had to pivot if you were going to be successful. So one person wrote in, having to send a majority of personnel home to work during this time provided to be challenging. However, it brought to light the age of the old debate on can we be efficient? It was very clear that the newer age thinking individuals had no issues working from home, were just as efficient and more. And they found better peace with a balance of work and life. The older age thinking individuals had difficulty adopting last year and complained that things could have gotten a lot better if they would have had some assistance. For example, going into office buildings where the decision makers were no longer there because they're working from home. How do I get in touch with them? Has leadership stepped up to the plate to realize that this pandemic really shows that if you cannot pivot, you will perish? Think outside the box. Give employees the opportunity to finish that balance of life work. But at the same time, be a company that does not shy away from that. Well, let's just think of the ways that we can meet them where they're at, which is home. Now, with that antidote, we already know what we had to do, whether you personally liked it or not, but we had to find those platforms like Zoom to do exchanges and introductions and even re sign up some of your existing accounts. So, by doing these things open to enhance your current employee mindset and their lives, make sure that they have all type of ways to communicate with that decision maker, because not doing this, you risk losing valuable employees who see that there's a pivot and the organization was not ready for that pivot. And one other thing, a person said that my company was not calling back in after I was furloughed. So I ended up exchanging my services to another company. I had almost 5 months of furlough and very happy to be working again. Now, some other things that happen in there is how can we get our existing customers? Once again, if they're not at the office, we need to find ways to communicate so we can go on to a Zoom if social distancing was the thing. And some people found that they could retain many of their current clients. Now, it may not be hitting us exactly yet, but the biggest thing that we're going to look for in January, February, and March is looking at the COVID that's coming in with the traditional flu season. Because if you have that double whammy, it may be kind of tough for you to make it in the copier industry for the first quarter. But we'll put our heads together, we'll find what we need to do. But in the meantime, you get dressed, you get out there, you make it happen. And as always in parting, this is Bratton Hardison, President of Champion Strategies, saying, you go out and you make it a